Time for business now with Kate Moody. Kate, after nearly 2 years and two deadly crashes, U.S. regulators say that the Boeing's 737 MAX plane can return to service.
Yeah, they've been waiting for this announcement since that second deadly crash in March 2019. The jets have been grounded around the world since then after two accidents within 5 months killed a total of 346 people. Now, the crisis has tarnished Boeing's reputation and wiped billions of dollars off its market value. Coupled with the coronavirus pandemic, it's led America's largest single exporter to cut some 30,000 jobs. Pilots will still have to undergo additional training before being able to fly the revamped model, and convincing the public that the planes are safe to fly on will be yet another battle. Boeing has been working nonstop to update the flight control software, which was a contributing factor in both of those crashes. On Wednesday, the Federal Aviation Administration said it had approved the changes after a comprehensive and methodical review process.
I am 100% comfortable with my family flying on it. Now, this doesn't mean that the MAX will immediately take to the skies. We will still have to approve the 737 MAX pilot training program for every U.S. airline operating the MAX.
International regulators, though, have said they won't necessarily be taking the FAA's approval as a green light for their carriers as they did in the past, because this scandal has also dented the agency's reputation. Well, Boeing shares rose earlier in the session. They closed about 3% downwards, despite that long-awaited green light. Share price is still about half the all-time high of over $440, which was reached just before the Ethiopian air crash in March 2019. An otherwise volatile session on Wall Street saw stocks racking up some sharper gains over the last hour or so of trade. The Dow Jones losing 300 points by the closing bell just 2 days after it hit a new record high. Major tech companies saw their shares fall about 1%. Earlier, we saw modest gains for the major European indices, the CAC 40 gaining about half a percentage point here in Paris. France's telecoms sector was flat as it rolled out the first 5G mobile networks in the country. Analysts say that the series of positive announcements about a possible coronavirus vaccine marks a light at the end of the pandemic tunnel for investors.
I certainly think investors have got used to the idea that we've got a vaccine candidate or several vaccine candidates coming down the line. I think the only real unknown is around whether or not we're going to get it by the end of this year or the beginning of next year. So certainly I think the market response initially, when the Pfizer news came out just over a week ago, I think was much more marked in terms of the market reaction, simply because it came out of almost like a bolt from the blue. The Moderna news wasn't so much of a surprise, because I think once you've got one vaccine candidate, then the thinking is that potentially others are likely to come down the line, and that certainly proved to be the case. So we have seen a little bit of a pop in markets today, but it's certainly not been in anywhere like the way that it was on the previous two occasions where we've heard vaccine news.
And you can see more of that interview with Michael Hewson in this week's People and Profit. That's airing on Thursday at 4:45 p.m. Paris time. Moving on to some of the day's other business headlines now. Norwegian Air has filed for bankruptcy protection in Ireland, where its aircraft assets are held. The Norwegian government gave the budget airline more than 275 million euros in emergency aid earlier this year, but refused a plea for more cash last week. The world's largest shipping company said freight demand had picked up faster than expected in the third quarter. The Danish giant Maersk is seen as a bellwether for global trade. It noted uncertainty ahead, but upgraded its 2020 profit forecast for the third time since the start of the pandemic. And the British government has outlined plans to ban the sale of new petrol and diesel cars within a decade. The 2030 deadline is 5 years earlier than previously planned. Boris Johnson made the pledge as part of a green industrial revolution, which he says will create jobs and reduce carbon emissions. The French economy minister has asked for shops to postpone their so-called Black Friday discount spree because of the coronavirus pandemic. Retailers have been lobbying to be allowed to reopen a few days before the nationwide lockdown is due to end on December 1st to take advantage of Black Friday. November 27th is the day after Thanksgiving in the United States, and the sales event has swept the globe, kicking off the holiday shopping season. Small retailers in particular say they're being penalized by France's lockdown restrictions, while big chains and online conglomerates like Amazon reap the benefits. But Bruno Le Maire said the health crisis should take precedence.
Je voudrais appeler tous les acteurs économiques, que ce soit la grande distribution, que ce soit les acteurs du commerce digital, au sens des responsabilités, en leur posant cette simple question. Est-ce que vraiment, vendredi prochain, c'est la bonne date pour organiser un Black Friday? Ma réponse est non, et j'espère qu'ils le comprendront eux aussi.
Wasim, just a few years ago, most French shops had never even heard of Black Friday. Now they're saying that it's really crucial to their survival this year.
Yeah, another sign that this year's holiday season will be unlike any we've ever seen. Kate Moody with the business, thank you very much.